Tommy Robinson's guys are at a mosque generating fake news that Muslims are stabbing everybody. And it results in civil unrest across the country that threatens to topple the government.
Again, you know, you got to be so pilled and so brain poisoned where this makes sense to you. Versus MAGA. If you're not familiar with Groypers, congratulations. Good for you. You've done well. Unfortunately, it will not last long. Groypers are the Nick Fuentes neo-Nazis who are very, very online and have spilled their way into modern American mainstream politics. Whenever you see a Ron DeSantis posting a video that has, you know, some pretty overt Nazi imagery in it, that's because some Groyper temp has gotten into their campaign at some level and told them, hey, this will be awesome. And they say, okay. And then they retweet it. And then afterwards, everyone's like, hey, that's Nazi shit. And they're like, oh no. And then they untweet it and pretend like it never happened. But yes, it is because there are Nazis among you. It doesn't have the same ring as among us, among you. But there are. And so for a long time, they've allied with Donald Trump, his MAGA fascism. Nick Fuentes has actually met Donald Trump for dinner. So there's no question about whether or not the two are intertwined politically until now. Now, Nick Fuentes has not had a great year. It's been filled with twists and turns. He did recently broadcast hardcore gay porn to his audience. That was at the end of the stream. He had finished his stream, turned it off, and when everyone thought that, the lights were off and the cameras was turned around, he started to watch his gay pornos. And then the gay pornos got broadcast. And then, of course, being a neo-Nazi, he blamed the Jews. And it's one of those things where, like, there's been enough. He does a lot of, like, behind the scenes, I'm gay, lol, I'm gay, kek. But it's just a joke. It's an inside joke. No one who's not a Groyper doesn't get it. But you do a lot of weird shit in addition to that, from the, you know, Catboy, lover streams, to the, you know, testimony of your ex-roommates who say that you check their rooms for cum. That's profoundly strange shit. You know, I know a lot of gay people. None of them check the bed sheets of their friends for whether or not they ejaculate. It's not a thing. So I think you might be dealing with someone who has like a deep, profound amount of shit to unpack. He's the king of the incels. He's very proud of that. He has never touched a woman and yet wants to control their bodies, which is why even right-wingers have gotten fucking full-on dunks against him, because it's like, why do you want to police women and their reproductive health when you yourself have never even had a relationship with a woman and you're not a woman? So what exactly is this business of yours? Like, how do you even know about love, romance, and all that kind of stuff when you're a proud incel? But he says that a Groyper war is now necessary.
All of this is to say, what is the approach that is going to work? You know, you can tell the Trump campaign, hey, we've got some serious problems with what you're doing. And they might go, oh, really? But if you tell them, yeah, but we're going to vote for you anyway, and we're going to pretend we don't care, then they're going to say, oh, okay, good. And then they're going to go and talk to somebody else. They're going to go and talk to a voter that isn't going to vote for Trump 100%. And that's back to the idea that I said earlier. After I made this announcement last night, a lot of people have been critical. They've said, oh, well, we're going to go to war against you. Hey, bring it on. I'll be the villain. Call me whatever you want. Please bring more attention to what I'm saying. I want everyone to know. I want the Trump campaign to know. I want everyone to know. And I'm perfectly willing to be blamed, be the villain. If they want to say you're making us lose, good. Let them say that and let them fix it. Because there's only one thing that you can do. There's only one thing in an election in this day and age that you can do. Ironically, it's not to vote. It is not to vote at all. That is
good. Good. Do it, Groypers. Stop supporting Trump. Don't vote. What he is actually talking about here is political strategy, though, right? He is talking about how we have demands of Trump. We want Trump to be way more hardcore, way more right-wing, overtly. And he was pretty overtly right-wing and hardcore, but he's toned down a lot of the rhetoric because he wants to be more electable. So now it's no longer, hey, by the way, we want day one an outlaw of all abortions federally across the country. It's we want to leave it to the states, right? He's still very aggressive. Trump is day one. We want to eliminate all forms of gender affirming care. He's very, pro eliminating trans people. All that kind of stuff is still part of the campaign and his open and overt rhetoric. But in the other categories, he's not going as extreme enough. Yeah, he's not based enough for the Groypers.
The one thing that you can do, people say, we're not going to vote our way out of this. You're right.
Yeah, that might actually be a form of political protest, praxis, if you will, if Pornhub does a day one Groyper special for gay porn, where it's just like, hey, all Groypers who stay home and don't vote, you get access to all the hardcore gay porno you can feast upon. That could be a form of activism right there.
There's so much more that has to be done.
That would prevent Nick from
in terms of developing our human capital, developing our networks, building a parallel system, building infrastructure, and so on. But how do you wield your leverage in an election? You tell your party, I'm not going to vote. You have to earn my vote.
Nick Fuentes and the Groypers are officially part of the Don't Vote movement. It's happening. We're seeing all kinds of strange things appear before our eyes. This one, yeah, again, I don't think it's going to last. I think getting up to the election with a month ago, they're going to, like, he's wearing a Trump shirt. Just so everyone's clear, he's literally wearing a picture of Donald Trump's mugshot on his face. Sorry, on his chest. So I do not believe that they're not going to support Donald Trump. They're trying to get more extreme concessions. They want Trump to be more extreme. And I hope they're victorious in it. I hope the Donald Trump campaign listens to the American First movement. I hope they get more sicko. I hope they get more disgusting. And I hope they honestly continue to put forward a platform that is just unpalatable to every average American, where they're just completely just like, what the fuck happened here? How in the world are you letting the incel Groyper Nazis conduct and sway your electoral decisions?
People say, well, I got into it with this guy today on Twitter. He's like, when Trump got shot, you said never surrender. Now you're going to war against him. I said, yeah, he's collapsed in the polls. I was critical before and after. I mean, yeah, I had an emotional reaction when
they're also, they've all got this weird, perverse version of what it is to be an alpha, and that is to be a winner and to crush. So while Donald Trump is doing really, really poorly, suddenly he's been emasculated just by virtue of that. That alone has emasculated him a little bit in their eyes.
Our hero got shot, but that didn't make the criticisms go away, obviously. And I still prefer him to be president, but we have to change our tactics. It's not working. We've been criticizing. It's been getting worse. The trajectory is downhill. I said, how much worse does it have to get before you people say there's a problem? And he said, oh, well, you just need to go to work for.
And that's awesome because, yes, it is true that right now there's a lot more momentum behind the Kamala campaign. And I think part of that is now they're like, well, the only way to change course here is to get even more disgusting. We need way more radical far-right policies. That's the mistake that we've been making here. J.D. Vance needs to get in front of a podium and say that he's literally going to possess and control every woman's womb. Maybe he's got some dark, magic that he's going to conjure and utilize at his moment of need. Whatever it is, but they want that. They want more extreme.
Trump, you just need to do ballot harvesting. And I said to him, I'm not ballot harvesting for war in Iran, green cards to diplomas, Nikki Haley, J.D. Vance, a never Trumper. I'm not, and there's no election integrity team. I said, I'm not doing that. And by the way, the only way that we can make them hear us is if we tell them we're not going to vote. If you go to the campaign and say, hey, I don't like the way you're running your campaign, but I'm going to vote for you anyway, and I'm going to shill for you on social media, then what exactly do they need from you? Why do they need to win you over? Why do they need to give you anything? Don't you know this is the same game that has been played?
Yeah, white supremacist on white supremacist crime, essentially what's taking place here. We have to take our own side, not the side of the Zionists or the Israelis.
So isn't it a coincidence? There have been high-profile killings by immigrants in the United Kingdom for 20 years. The Conservative Party failed to reduce immigration for 16 years. But a month after Keir Starmer got into power and started shutting down arms transfers to Israel, all of a sudden, a couple of days, after a Zionist Iranian monarchist Tommy Robinson rally. Tommy Robinson's guys are at a mosque generating fake news that Muslims are stabbing everybody, and it results in civil unrest across the country that threatens to topple the government.
Again, you got to be so fucking Nazi pilled and so brain poisoned where this makes sense to you. Like, and then they, okay, all right, I see what you're throwing down.
I find that, if it's all organic, to be a very big coincidence. Now, it may be true, and it may be capitalizing on organic things. I think the opposition to immigration might be organic. I think it is. I think the rage that's being expressed, I think those are real people. I think the people that are going and burning things down and rioting and doing legitimate protesting, I think those are all real people expressing legitimate
actors.
grievance.
Not
I think
crisis
that
racists.
the public opinion is turning against immigration. But these Zionists have totally infiltrated the global right wing. They're in America. They're in the United Kingdom. It's all pro-Israel. They're in France, Brazil, Argentina, the Netherlands. We've documented it. Meloni in Italy didn't stop a single boat from Africa to Italy, but she built 2 Holocaust museums. Milei has not dollarized the economy in Argentina, but he has visited the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters in Israel.
This is actually wonderful, honestly, to see the far right not finding the far right to be aggressive enough and then just cannibalizing themselves. Beautiful. Beautiful. You love to see it. It's drivel, racist nonsense, anti-Semitic nonsense. That, again, it's one of those things where, like, none of this makes sense to people who are not, like, completely Groyper pilled. Otherwise, you're just listening to this person and be like, what kind of racist is this? Oh, extreme. Extreme. Yeah, I know. Conspiratorial, extreme. And yes, apparently the far right in numerous governments from Europe to, South America, if they aren't in fact like just literally shooting immigrants on the street, then they're considered to be some kind of leftist infiltrator. Because again, they're so far gone. Their Overton window is just so skewed. They have no lens with which to view the world. And
gave Israel a $150 million lithium contract. Geert Wilders in the Netherlands dropped his mosque ban and dropped his ban of the Quran, but he is supporting Israel throughout the war since October 7th. France has distanced themselves from AFD. They say AFD goes too far on immigration. But the National Rally Party has distanced themselves from Marine Le Pen's father and embraced Israel, and Israel's embraced them back. And in the United Kingdom, you have 2 Zionists, Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, that are leading the charge against this liberal government.
Like, I never thought I'd hear, like, a white supremacist talk about how Tommy Robinson is a friend of the Muslim community. Like, again, it's to people who are outsiders, like, sorry, Tommy Robinson? That Tommy Robinson? He's apparently, like, very pro-Muslim rights? What are you fucking talking about right now? Well, you see, the reason that he's actually secretly pro-Muslim is that he's controlled by the Zionists. What does that mean? Why, and how does that benefit Israel or Israel's ongoing genocide? I don't understand. It sounds to me, really, when you get down to the core of all this, that you, Nick Fuentes, just hate Jewish people. And you have a weird view of the entire world through that lens. And like, you equate Israel with all Jewish people. We know that. Most anti-Semitic assholes do. And because of that, now this is the lens with which you have to view the world, as in, like, oh, well, this is why every government is secretly being influenced by, the Jewish agenda and all this kind of stuff. You're seeing the same thing happen with, anti-Semitic weirdos in the US and Canada who are trying to point towards things like AIPAC as proof that there is a Zionist government conspiracy and that, like, yes, in fact, Jews do control the world. And it's like, no, look, AIPAC is not a secretive organization. They boast about their victories. This, if anything, should show you that, yes, there can be foreign interference or at least influence in American elections, and America's completely fine with it as long as it also co-benefits their own objectives and goals. This has nothing to do specifically with all Jewish people. That's you. That's the weird racist. That's the conspiracy brained, groypers of the internet. Everyone else who's sitting here is just like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't get it. Sorry, Tommy Robinson, the progressive,
and saying that it's Muslims and not non-white immigration. And so again, we have to take our own side. We have to take our own side, not take the side of the Zionists, not take the side of the Israelis, not take the side in some religious confrontation. We need to take the side of white people, of Christendom. We need to take the side of our civilization and not theirs.
He's not pure Aryan, by the way. He's actually got some multi-ethnic lineage, as have a lot of the right now far-right spokespeople. One of his good friends, Sneeko, is not white as well. Neither are the Fresh and Fist podcast hosts. And I think that really goes to show you that the whole white supremacist project is fucked. Fundamentally, profoundly fucked. You can't have a whole bunch of leaders of the white Aryan, white supremacist, neo-Nazi movement all be multiracial. Doesn't that demonstrate something to you? The project failed. We all love each other. We're all fucking each other. We're making beautiful multiracial babies all over the place. Okay? And even though white supremacy as a concept and white supremacist hierarchies still do exist, and they are horrible and should be dismantled, destroyed everywhere they're found, the very people who are now trying to take up the mantle from the American, POV happen to be not white themselves. It's one of those things where, yeah, they'll come for everybody. I do personally remember how strange it was to have people like go after me as a race traitor. Like, I would get so many right-wing accounts be like, fucking Lance the race traitor always talks about how like there's all this like systemic racism in the world, blah blah blah. And then when they'd find out that my mom's indigenous, all of a sudden it would switch. Like, all of a sudden they would go to, oh, the Lance the fucking indigenous fucking alcoholic, blah blah blah, and all this other weird racist shit. But it's like, but you understand, I'm still white, right? Like, I still benefit from the same kind of whiteness that every other white person benefits from. Like, I don't get racially profiled the same way I do by police, by renters, by employers, all that kind of, those same systems and structures are in place, and yes, need to be dismantled. But then it's like, in what world do you think that you're all speaking for the behalf of the Nazis now? You would not pass the one drop rule, in the case of Nick Fuentes. Obviously I know he's not black, but I'm just saying the very concept of being like, you have to be pure in all ways at all times. So America's far right now turns on Donald Trump. Right-wing political pundits Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer have launched attacks on former President Donald Trump's current campaign strategy. Usually unwavering supporters of Trump, they've now declared open opposition, with Fuentes announcing a new Groyper war against the campaign. The unrest within the Republican Party comes when Democratic candidate Kamala Harris has been seen in a surge in polling in several battleground states since taking over from Joe Biden. In the last week, she has massively out-fundraised Trump's campaign, has polled even with Trump in the betting markets, where he was the favorite since March. Fuentes, a controversial political pundit known for his inflammatory rhetoric, took to social media on Thursday night to express his frustrations. Dare I say it, I'm declaring a new Groyper war against the Trump campaign. The so-called Groyper war Fuentes refers to is a term he co-created in 2019 to rally supporters of Trump and other right-wing individuals towards adopting white nationalist ideologies. His followers refer to themselves as the Groypers. You have alienated us. You have ignored us. You don't listen to our concerns. We have been left behind. Groypers will bring the energy, memes, edit, replies, trolls, and get with us or get the fuck out of the way, he said. Fuentes also shares his grievances in a separate post on X, which is viewed 2.2 million times. He asserted that the Trump campaign has been hijacked by the same consultants, lobbyists, and donors that he defeated in 2016. Laura Loomer, another far-right figure, echoed Fuentes' sentiments in a post on X. Laura, a former self-described investigative journalist and two-time GOP congressional candidate and loser, who also tried to do the election was stolen, no one cared, criticized the Trump campaign's current surrogates and messaging. Have you noticed how weak so many of the Trump surrogates sound on TV? Laura Loomer asked, calling for Trump to better utilize the talent in the arsenal to combat Democrats in the media. And obviously, Laura Loomer has had trouble with other members of the far right, movement in so far as that she is Jewish herself, and there's only so far that they are willing to accept allies who are not, in fact, in their eyes, to be, the pure Aryan white race, as it were. So you'll see a lot of people who have complained about this recently. Sneeko and Andrew Tate are two people who complained about this. Sneeko came out to say that, like, I'll always be an N-word to them, I feel like, sometimes, and the answer is to Nazis. Yes, that's the way neo-Nazis think, unfortunately. Same thing with Andrew Tate being like, hey, by the way, a lot of people are suddenly going after me for not being white simply because I'm talking about the UK, not a good look. And it's like, well, yeah, if you get a lot of racist followers for all the racist shit you say, most likely they're going to be racist. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's kind of what you get on the tin.
Secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here